last class.
Yes, sir.
Like we have revised the whole chapter. This
We
complete
read the whole chapter.
yeah the we did the revision of the whole chapter in the previous class. No, we were just left to discuss about the function of the skeletal system a little bit detail,
Oh,
particularly about dialysis. Okay, okay, Rasan.
okay.
Hmm. So we had learned about transportation in animals, and then we were learning about transportation in plants. Okay, so just like the animals, plants also requires water. They
Sir, are you
also
sharing screen?
yeah, of course I'm sharing the screen.
Can't see.
You can't see the screen. Maybe that is because you might be facing some network issue. See, is it still not visible?
No, sir. Can you share again?
Okay,
Then it
okay.
will be.
Where are you living currently? Are you in India or out of India? Like
I'm in
last
English,
class
sir.
in India.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It seems like the area where you are living now, that area might be having some poor network connectivity, I think. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, better. Okay. So the last class we did learn about transportation animals. Today we'll be learning about transportation in plants. Okay. So transportation in plants basically in this they will be transport of water, minerals, and nutrients throughout the body of the plant, right? So plants also requires necessary things, getting it now. And the movement of these things like the food and the water will occur through a very specialized tissue, special tissues called as xylem and phloem, getting it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in the case of xylem, what we have learned that this tissue will be responsible for carrying the water and the minerals that are dissolved in it from the roots towards the leaves of the plant. Getting it? So, what basically
How do you,
happens?
sir? How do
Hello.
you pronounce exilum and phloem?
It's a xylem. Okay. X Y L
Xylem,
E M. That is xylem, and that's phloem. Okay, na phloem.
phloem.
Yeah, xylem and phloem. Good. So, xylem is the tissue that is responsible for transport of water from the roots to the leaves. From the roots to the leaves. So, what happens? The roots of the plant should be absorbing the water from the soil, and then via the xylem, that water and whatever minerals are dissolved in that water goes to the upper part of the plant, basically, will go to the leaves of the plant. So, that is the function of the xylem here. Okay. Also, this movement of water in the xylem tissue is occurring because of the help of transpiration. Because of the help of transpiration.
Transpiration.
So, as you can see here, an upward pull is required. Getting an upward pull is required for the movement of the water from the roots towards the leaf. So, that pull is created because of evaporation of water that occurs from the surface of the leaves. Getting it?
Yes, sir.
So continuous evaporation of water from the leaves creates a suction pull in the upward direction, and that is responsible for movement of water and the dissolved minerals in that water throughout the body of the plant in the upward direction. So transpiration is required here. Transpiration is important. Getting it now? Getting it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So further we should write down that driven it is driven by the process of transpiration. Process of transpiration. And what we know about transpiration, we know that transpiration, in simple terms, it is loss of water from the leaves. Loss of water from the leaves in the form of water vapor. Right, Razan?
Yes, sir.
In the form of water vapor. Also, you would be familiar that leaves have got tiny pores in them. Those tiny pores are called
Stomata.
as exactly. So the water is being lost from that stomata in the form of water vapor. WV, that is water vapor. Getting it?
Yes, sir.
So further we will write down that evaporation of water from the leaves creates a pulling force in the upward direction. So evaporation of water. Were you present when this chapter was going in the batch?
I think so. I don't know.
Okay, let me just check it quickly. Were you present or not? Yes, you were present actually. You were
Oh,
present. Hmm.
yes,
Mhm. So evaporation of water from the leaves creates a suction pull, and that pull is called as transpirational pull. Here, getting it?
sir.
Transpirational pull. Okay.
Sir, the first one is it leaves off
Repeat again.
in this slide. The slide.
1 minute. What happened to this? Yeah, tell me.
In, not in this one, the other slide.
Okay. Yeah, this one.
Yes, sir. What is the first word?
The first word, loss. LOS. Loss. Okay.
Loss.
Loss.
Oh, okay.
Hmm. So loss of water from the leaves in the form of water vapor, that is simply called as transpiration. And because of this, an upward pull is created. As you can see in this given animation also, how an upward pull is created, that is called as transpirational pull. Okay. Okay. Good.
Yes,
So
sir.
also see, that's the stomata from which the water is lost here. Okay. And why the same stomata? Plants will be taking carbon dioxide to do photosynthesis. And why this? Water and oxygen is released into the air. So that was all about xylem. Next, we have the phloem. The next tissue that you see here, that is called as phloem. By the way, one more thing about xylem. It is important to note down that the water movement of water in the xylem occurs only in one direction. That is in the upward direction. Correct it now. So we see
Yes,
that
sir.
there is unidirectional. Uni means one. Okay, so directional means in a given direction here. So there is flow of the given water and the dissolved minerals in one direction only. So there is unidirectional movement of water and dissolved minerals in the xylem tissue. Okay. By the way, have you prepared notes from this chapter in the school or in the
Yes,
while
sir.
it was going on in the batch? Okay.
Yes, sir. I take screenshot.
Mhm. Good. Next, we have the phloem tissue. So phloem is that tissue which will be responsible for the movement of the food that is prepared in the process of photosynthesis. So in the process of photosynthesis, the food that is prepared in the leaves, okay, so that is transported to different parts of the plants via the another tissue that is called as phloem here. That is called as phloem here. Hope it should be clear to you.
Yes,
Getting it?
sir.
Okay. And phloem and translocation is interlinked. Phloem and translocation is interlinked. Okay, now because phloem is the tissue in which plants are carrying out this process of translocation, and translocation is basically the process of moving the materials like the food from the leaves to other parts of the plant. Just like we had learned about transpiration, which is basically the loss of water. So it's similar to that, we have translocation. So it is the process of moving food from leaves to different parts of the plant. Different parts of the plant. That's translocation. And this process is occurring in the phloem. Getting it now? So phloem
Yes, sir.
is the tissue is the tissue in which the transport of food occurs. Food occurs. Another thing is that it occurs in every direction. Getting it now? So we see that the movement basically translocation in phloem is bidirectional. Is bidirectional. Means that the food will go in the upward direction also, and it will go in the downward direction also. So that is the case. So it moves in both the direction. Okay. So hope that my should be clear to you. Have you taken the screenshot?
1 minute, sir.
Okay,
Done.
take it. Good. So that is all about the movement of materials in the plant's body. Okay, just 1 minute. Okay, by the way, we had learned about the dialysis also. Do you know what
Then
is dialysis? We had learned about this also in the
you
last class
select
we had.
blood test.
Hmm. So what do you understand by dialysis? Yeah,
Um,
when the kidney stops functioning, so thereby the person will go under dialysis, right? So it's a procedure to remove the waste products from the blood when the kidneys are not functioning properly. Getting it?
yes, sir.
So that is what dialysis is. Now let me just provide a definition for of this to you. So it is basically a procedure that is done to remove waste like urine from the body when kidney no longer works properly. No longer works properly. So that is what dialysis is. Okay. Hope you're getting it. So in a situation of kidney failure, when the kidney fails to do its work, so person will be put in this machine. Okay, basically that machine is called as hemodialyzer. This machine over here, we call this as a hemodialyzer machine. That also we can call this as artificial kidneys. Getting it now?
Yes, sir.
So that's the artificial kidney here. Okay. So see, we had done these two topics. Okay. We have some questions to do. Let's do the questions quickly. Okay. Yeah. So which of the following cells get activated during bleeding?
Platelets.
Hmm. Very good. Next.
Number 2, earpiece and diaphragm are part of
Yeah.
headphone.
Repeat again.
Headphone.
Headphone.
No,
What
1 minute.
what have we learned in
Earpiece.
the chapter? Like how the heartbeat and like how can doctor hear the
Stethoscope.
heart? Hmm. It is stethoscope. Good.
The tubes which connect the kidney and urinary blood is known as
Hmm.
ureter.
That is ureter. Very good. Next.
Pulmonary vein carries oxygenated blood from
Hmm.
heart to all body parts.
No, no, that is not correct.
Heart to lungs.
Again, not correct.
Heart with valves.
Again, not correct. That's lungs to heart, no?
Mm,
See, memorize this thing. Veins, normal veins carry deoxygenated blood. What do they carry?
Deoxygenated blood.
Okay. But the pulmonary vein,
Oxygenated blood.
oxygenated blood. Okay. Next, you should know that the veins brings the blood from body to the heart. H for heart. Okay, body to from body to the heart. But what the pulmonary veins does, it brings
Lungs
the
to heart.
exactly blood from lungs to heart. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Arteries are best defined as vessels which supply oxygen to the blood. Sir, what is the question?
Like, what do they do? Do they supply oxygenated blood to different organs? Huh? Or do they carry blood away from heart to different organs? Or do they break up into capillaries which reunites to form a vein?
They supply oxygenated blood to the different organs.
Okay, that is correct. And there is one more that is correct. Two options are correct. Both
One more,
A and B.
carry blood away from the heart to different organs.
Exactly. Very good. Next question.
The composition of urine.
Hmm.
Sir, we didn't learn this.
No, we did learn this. Recall
Did
this. Yeah, in fact, we had learned this. Recall this. Last class, I wrote these things, right? 95% of water is there in the urine, 2.5% urea, and 2.5% other waste.
Okay.
Hmm.
I don't remember that.
Okay. Yeah. Now answer it.
So it's 95% water, 2.5 urea, and 2.5 other waste.
Good.
Arteries can be distinguished from veins because the arteries have thicker walls.
Very good. Next.
A normal pulse is um, regular in rhythm.
Good. Next. CO2 is
Carbon,
for carbon dioxide. You know.
carbon dioxide is removed from the blood in the kidney.
How's it kidney? No. Carbon dioxide is a gaseous waste, no? The gaseous waste is taken away from the blood in the lungs now.
Lungs.
Exactly. That's why the lungs should be sending the blood, deoxygenated blood, to the heart, no? So that carbon dioxide will be removed from it. Okay. Okay. So there were some other questions. Also answer this question. That why is it so that veins have valves which allow blood to flow only in one direction, and arteries do not have valves, but yet the blood flows in one direction only? What is the reason? Hmm? Basically, question is asking that why arteries don't have valves. You understanding the question?
Yes, sir.
No, not getting it. Okay. See, when we take a look at the structure of the veins, so veins have got structures like these in them. These kind of structures are present in them inside the veins. It stops the flow of blood in the opposite direction. Suppose the blood is supposed to be moving in this direction, getting it? But if the blood starts to flow in the opposite direction, so what the valves will do, the valves will close like this. Okay. So when the valves will close like this, the blood will not flow in the opposite direction. So it is present only in the veins and not in the arteries. What is the reason? Hmm.
Because when blood goes front, moves forward, the valves. I mean, yeah, no, the what do you call the inside those things?
These are called as valves. VALVES, valves.
So the inside, when it moves forward, the valves behind will close, so
Mhm.
the blood cannot go the other side, opposite side.
Okay, so this happens in the veins now. This happens in the veins. But in the arteries, they are not found. If you were to talk about the arteries, see, that is the artery, for example, the structure of an artery. There are no valves in this, but still blood flows only in one direction. The blood does not goes the opposite direction in the artery. Why does it not happen so?
Mm,
Yes. To understand this, you need to know that what does the artery do? They take the blood away from the heart, or do they bring the blood to the heart?
they take away from the heart.
Right? And heart would be already pushing the blood into this with high amount of pressure now.
Yes, sir.
So the pressure from the heart is strong enough to keep the blood flowing in one direction only. Getting it? So
Oh,
suppose like this is heart. Okay, suppose getting it. Suppose that's the heart. So the heart is already pushing the blood into this artery with great pressure now. So
yes,
it will
sir.
flow only in one direction. But the the veins are bringing the blood from different organs now. It is bringing the blood from the lungs. Huh? And do lungs also pump the blood? They are that's not a pumping organ now.
Yes,
The
sir.
only pumping organ in the body is the heart,
Heart.
right? So the blood coming from the lungs will not be under great pressure, will not be flowing with pressure. So there is a chance that it can flow in the backward direction, and that is not a good thing to happen. So to avoid that, we have got valves. Getting it, Razan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, hope it should be clear to you. Okay, before we continue with the revision of reproduction in plants, so you answer some of the subjective questions of this chapter, transportation in plants and animals. Okay. So first question, you tell me, what are some of the useful materials or products that are carried by the blood?
What, sir?
What are some of the useful materials that is carried by the blood?
Can you give one example?
Like food,
Hmm?
food. You understood the question?
Yeah, like what
Uh-huh.
useful things the blood carries?
Exactly.
Hmm?
Hmm.
Hmm.
There are so many things. Now just try to recall it.
Hmm. Protein.
Okay, protein.
Hmm.
You can simply call it as food. Food. All the components of the food will be counted in it. Protein, carbohydrate, all of that will be counted in. So you can simply say food rather than saying all the different types of components of food. Okay, Razan.
Yes, sir.
Continue next.
Hmm. Hmm.
Oxygen.
Oxygen.
What about oxygen? Is oxygen not an essential material carried by the blood? Yeah.
It is
Continue then.
water.
Yes.
Water
Water, exactly. Water and
and
hmm,
car- carbon dioxide,
carbon dioxide is not an essential material. Essential,
nitrogen,
like it will be important.
nitrogen.
Yeah, we can count that. Getting it. So basically, oxygen is there, water is there, food is there. These three. Getting it now. So these three are the important materials carried by it. Okay. Okay. Next answer to me that circulatory system consists of three major organs. The circulatory system consists of three major organs. What are they? The circulatory system, haven't we learned about that? The circulatory system in animals, it consists of three main parts, three main organs. What are they?
Mm,
Three main parts are there. The heart,
the heart, the lungs,
no.
mm, kidney.
Circulatory system, no. Kidney is the part of excretory system, no. Kidney is part of excretory system. The circulatory system majorly consists of the heart, the blood vessels, and the blood. What does it
Mm,
contain?
the heart, the blood vessels, and the blood
Okay, and all of these are part of which system?
circulator system.
Circulatory system. Okay. Give the name of blood component which is liquid and is made up of 90% of water.
Urine,
Repeat again.
urine,
No, no. Listen to the question properly. You have to tell me the name of the component of the blood. Urine is a waste now. It's a waste
uh,
material. I'm asking component of blood which is liquid and is made up of 90% of water.
Um,
Remember,
blood,
remember we have learned about different things like white blood cells, red blood cells, platelets, and plasma. These are the components of the blood, no?
plasma,
Plasma, good. Tell me all the names of all the components of the blood.
plasma,
Hmm,
platelets,
hmm,
red blood cells, white blood cells.
good. Okay. Name the organ which is located in the chest cavity with its lower tip slightly tilted towards the left.
What's it?
Name the organ which is located in the chest cavity and it is slightly tilted towards the left.
Okay.
What is that organ?
Near the chest?
Yeah, it is in the chest and it is slightly tilted towards the left direction.
Heart?
Heart, obviously. Good. Okay. Okay. Tell me this that the red blood cells contains a colored pigment which carries oxygen with it. What is this pigment called as?
Um, uh,
It starts with H.
no, hemoglobin.
It's hemoglobin.
Hemoglobin.
Okay, spell it.
Hemoglobin. H E
H
A
A E. H A E.
A E
Hmm,
M O
hmm,
G L O B I N.
good. Okay. Tell me that in which form the oxygen is transported to different parts of the body by hemoglobin.
What's it? Can you repeat?
In which form? In which form the oxygen is transported to various parts of the body by hemoglobin? Hmm.
Part?
In which form I'm asking. Remember we had learned this thing. What basically happens? The oxygen binds itself with the hemoglobin. No? If I still have that over the slide, see. Look over this thing over here. 1 minute. See this. Oxyhemoglobin. No? The
Yes, sir.
question was in which form the oxygen is transported to various parts of the body by hemoglobin. So oxygen is transported to various parts of the body in the form of hemoglobin. Got it now?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, tell me which blood vessels are visible on the skin?
Which veins?
It is veins. Very good. Okay, now. So you can see that it will appear as greenish blue lines that will appearing just below the lines below the skin right now. Many times, for example, if someone has a fair skin, so under the skin they will observe some greenish and bluish line under the skin. What are they? They are the veins. Okay. Okay then. Okay, further tell me that usually veins carry deoxygenated blood, right?
What's
usually
it?
Usually the veins carries deoxygenated blood, but except in one case it will be carrying oxygenated blood, right? So what is the name of that vein which carries oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart?
Um, pulmonary,
Pulmonary vein.
pulmonary
Okay, no,
vein.
pulmonary vein. Okay, further also tell me that the exchange of substances between arteries and veins occurs via which blood vessel? Let me repeat. The exchange of substances between the arteries and the veins occurs via which blood vessel? Remember, there are three blood vessels now: artery, vein, and the third is capillaries.
Yes, sir.
So the exchange between the of materials between the veins and arteries occurs via
Capillary.
capillaries. Keep that in mind, okay? And capillaries are the thinnest or the thickest veins, thickest blood vessel. What are they? Capillaries, are they the thinnest blood vessels or are they the thickest blood vessel?
Thinnest.
Thinnest blood vessel. Where can you observe it? In the
Mm,
eyes
eyes.
and sometimes in the ear also.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
but
Yes.
usually more visible in the eyes. Like if you were
Eyes.
to stretch out your eyes
Those
like this, you can see.
thin red lines.
Exactly. Those are the capillaries. Okay. Okay. Name the major excretory organ in human.
Ureters.
Ureter is not an organ, it's simply a
Oh,
tube-like structure. Organ, organ.
urine.
Listen to the question once again. Take your time. Okay, now take your time. Don't rush in answering. Name the major excretory organ in human. Is it the stomach? Is it the kidney? Is it the lungs? Is it the heart? Which is it?
Uh, Kidney.
Kidney, obviously. Good. Okay. Acha, Razan, many times now we see that skin is also a excretory organ.
Which one?
Skin. We see that it is also excretory organ. Why is it so?
Skin.
Hmm? Like, is something secreted from the skin also? Some waste material comes out of the skin also? Hmm? Remember the sweat? Haven't we learned about
Oh,
sweat?
yes, sir.
Yeah, sweat contains waste materials in it also, no?
Yes, sir.
So skin sometimes is also called as a excretory organ. Okay. Okay. Tell me how many chambers are there in the human heart?
Chambers.
Hmm. Are there three chambers? Are there four chambers?
4.
Four chambers. Okay. Name the different chambers of heart.
Mm. Sir, at this, I don't think I was there in this one.
No, like the last class you were, of course you were there, no? See, we did learned about this. We will be able to recall this. See, we did learned about this, no, Dasan? You were there.
No.
Four chambers are there. Now this one, right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. These are the four chambers of the human heart. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
What is atrium, sir?
Atrium is the upper chamber. Okay, no, this is the upper chamber. Basically, it's a name given to the chamber. Getting it? So right atrium, it is on the right side of the heart, and it receives oxygenated blood, oxygen poor blood from the body. Oxygen poor blood, like basically deoxygenated blood comes to the right atrium. Getting it? No?
Yes, sir.
And from there, from right atrium, the deoxygenated blood. First of all, tell me, what do you understand when I say deoxygenated blood? Does it mean? Mhm.
What, sir?
When I say deoxygenated blood, what do you understand by this?
Mm. It means like we say the oxygen.
It has less oxygen in it.
Yeah,
It
let's
has
oxygen.
more carbon dioxide in it.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Hmm. So the deoxygenated blood from all the body comes to which chamber of the human heart?
Right atrium,
From here it goes to,
right ventricle,
and from right ventricle it is sent to the lungs via the,
pulmon pulmonary artery.
exactly. Good. Next, the lungs sends the oxygenated blood to the left atrium via,
Then left artery to the left ventricle and the left ventricle to aorta.
very good. So lungs sends the oxygenated blood via the pulmonary vein to the left atrium, and from left atrium it goes to the left ventricle, which further sends it to different or different organs of the body, different tissues of the body via aorta. Which is the strongest chamber out of all the chambers?
Uh, right atrium.
It's the left ventricle. Okay, it's the strongest chamber. Okay, no. Okay, what do we call this muscular wall? What do we call this structure? That's
Septum.
septum. That separates the left and right part of the heart. Okay. So if question comes to explain the working of the human heart, how the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood flows through it. Will you be able to answer it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
But
Okay,
for
let's.
us, sometimes we have our own questions to learn.
Okay. Oh, okay. It's like that. Okay. By the way, the question comes from the exercise only in your schools, now, right? You get to questions. You get to answer those questions only which the teacher would have told you to memorize in the class, I
Yes, sir.
suppose. Okay. Okay. So have you memorized all the questions?
Not quite. For every chapter, there are like more than 19 questions for one.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are combining two chapters. There are 38 questions to learn.
Hmm.
Yes.
Can you share the questions to me? Only the questions.
Questions only.
Yeah, only the questions.
Okay, sir.
Do one thing after the class, send it to the counselor. So
Okay,
the
sir.
next class, your task is that I will be listening to all. How many questions you have memorized from the first chapter? Tell me. Out of 19 questions,
I don't know if it's exactly 19, but I revised like 6 or 7 questions.
6 or 7. Okay. I'll be listening to 12 questions in the next class from the first
12.
chapter. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Make sure you memorize it and make sure you share it with the counselor.
Yes.
Okay. Only the questions particularly.
Sir,
Okay.
I'll
Let's.
try to send it tomorrow today because my notebook is in Qatar, so I have to ask my friend for the notes.
Okay. Okay. No issues. Okay. See, before we continue with the revision of this chapter, let me just tell you quickly. Tell me, you were there, as I can see there in the portal. You were there while that chapter was going on in the batch, right? So I will be asking some questions to you from this chapter first. I will get to know like in which topics you're facing difficulty, and then we're going to do okay the revision. Okay. So first, answer some subjective questions from this chapter, reproduction in plants. Okay. So tell me, what do you understand by vegetative propagation?
Vegetative propagation
Hmm.
means they're done by done. What do
Yeah, you can say you
done
can
by
define like that.
stem, leaves, and roots.
Done by stems, roots, and leaves.
Leaves.
Okay. The stems, the roots, the leaves. What do we call these parts? Are these the reproductive parts or are they the vegetative parts?
Vegetative
They are vegetative parts. Very good. Okay. Why is the process of reproduction necessary?
reproduction.
Why
So we
is the
can
Mhm. Continue.
make more and more plants.
Hmm. So we can increase the number of the plants, right?
Yes, sir.
And we can preserve the endangered plants, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay, tell me, you have some of the organisms like fungus, moss,
Um,
right? Fungus,
Is
moss, and the
sperm
fern.
is sperm also
Oh, that's a different thing. You have fungus, moss, and fern, FER and fern. They reproduce via a common method of asexual reproduction. What is that method called as? Maybe you'll be able to recall if I were to show you this diagram as well as some animations. Take a look at this. See, that's the fern. Okay, this one here is the fern. That's the moss. These structures, what do we call these structures growing over here? Hmm? Spore, exactly. So this asexual method is called as spore formation, no? Spore formation, right? Good. Tell me, what are the male and female reproductive parts of a flower? What do you call the male part of the flower?
male
Hmm. Male part of the
gamete.
flower. Okay, gametes are the sex cells. That is different. Gametes are produced by these reproductive parts. Is it the pistil or is it the stamen?
Lemon.
Stamen. Very good. Okay. Out of the stamen and the pistil, which one is located in the center of the flower?
Stigma.
Stigma. Stigma. Okay, it is there. But part I'm asking, no? Like, so it's the pistil.
Anther.
Anther is part of the stamen, no? So it is not in the center. Take a look over here again. See this diagram here. The anther and the filament, it's part of the stamen. That is the male reproductive organ, no? In the center, you have got the stigma, style, and ovary, which is basically pistil. The female reproductive part is in the center, and the male one is is surrounding the female part. Okay,
So which is the center part?
this over here. Like take a look at an actual flower here, or for example, this one. The central structure that you were seeing in this animation. 1 minute. Let it restart. This one over here. So that's the female reproductive part, no? Which is in the center.
Yes, sir. That's the stigma, right?
Yeah, stigma is part. Yeah, that is stigma. Of course, that is stigma, right now.
Yes, sir.
The upper swollen part that is swollen. This is a stigma. Okay, that's the style, and this whole structure is ovary, and all of this is basically making the female reproductive part now. So we
Yes, sir.
can say that female reproductive part is in the center of the flower. We can say that also, right?
Okay.
So that is what I meant. Okay. Okay. Explain to me what do you understand by pollination?
Pollination is the process of the pollen grain moving from the anther to the stigma of a flower.
Okay. From one flower to another flower of the same plant or of the different flower plant, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
that is pollination. What are the two types of pollination?
Self-pollination and cross-pollination.
Okay. And how are they different?
Self-pollination is uh, the process of anther to stigma in the same flower
Hmm. Of the
and
same plant.
of the same plant,
Hmm.
and the process of anther to stigma uh, from one and another, from one plant to another plant is called cross pollination.
Okay. You missed seeing the transfer of pollen grains in that. So in cross pollination, there is transfer of the pollen grains from one flower to another flower of the same species, right? I know they are on different plants, right? In the self pollination, the pollen grain from the anther is transferred to the stigma within the same flower or in between two flowers that are on the same plant. So that is self pollination. Okay, good. Okay, we have got some time left. So in this now you will tell me what are the different asexual modes of reproduction in in plants. Yeah, there are two modes of reproduction in flowers in plants now. One is asexual reproduction, another is sexual reproduction, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So tell me what are some of the asexual methods of reproduction in plants?
Uh,
The first one, like I had already asked one question regarding this in the very beginning. That was vegetative propagation.
vegetative
Okay. After other than this, what do we have?
spores,
Spore formation, good, and
um, pollination.
pollination is not. It's sexual reproduction, no? It's that is related to sexual reproduction. See, whenever the pollen grains will be included, so it should be understood that sexual reproduction is happening. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hmm. Budding was one of the ways, no? Budding. Fragmentation,
Fragmentation.
fragmentation, right? Okay, so you have mainly four. First is vegetative propagation, budding, fragmentation, and then spore formation. Getting it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's revise them quickly. Also, like we had learned this while the chapter was going on, like why reproduction is essential. Okay, so it ensures the continuity of the species and protects it from becoming extinct. Extinct means that completely eradicated from Earth. Not a single
Completely
organ,
gone.
completely gone, right? Not a
Yes,
single organism of that species surviving. Okay, like for example, dinosaurs, right? They are extinct.
mm,
So all living organisms have this important characteristics that they can give birth to organisms of the same kind. And this production of the offspring from the parent is called as reproduction. So it ensures the continuity of the organisms, right?
yes, sir.
Then a plant has got two parts. One is called as the one is called as the vegetative parts, another is called as the sexual parts or the reproductive parts, right? So
Yes, sir.
vegetative parts are the leaves, the stems, the roots, etc. These are the vegetative parts of the plant. And the flower or the fruits, they are the reproductive parts of the flower plant, right now.
Yes, sir.
Further, there were two modes of reproduction in the plants. One is sexual reproduction, another is asexual. So in asexual, the vegetative parts, generally the leaves, the stems, or the roots, will participate. New plants will be growing out of these. In sexual reproduction, we see that new plants will occur when fertilization will happen. Okay, when pollination will happen. Getting it? So flowers of the plants will be participating in reproduction, right? How the
Yes,
flowers would be participating? Basically, pollination will occur between the flowers. After pollination, we see that the fruits will be formed and the seeds will be formed. And with the help of the seeds, further a new plant will be produced. So that is the case of the sexual reproduction, right?
yes, sir.
Asexual reproduction basically is get is of four main types. The first type is the vegetative propagation, which we had discussed, right?
Yes, sir.
So in which the plants are produced from the roots, from the stems or the leaves, and in some cases from the buds also. Okay. So some examples like rose, you have bryophyllum. Rose grows from the stem or from the root. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
it grows from the stem now. Bryophyllum grows new plants grows from the leaves, right?
Yes, sir.
Further, we learned that vegetative propagation is also of two types. One that occurs on its own. There is no human intervention, right? So that is natural vegetative propagation. Getting it now? That is natural vegetative propagation. Another one is the artificial vegetative propagation in which there is a human intervention. Okay. So let's learn about some of them quickly. So vegetative propagation by the roots, right? By the roots and the
Yes, sir.
bulbs. So plants that have a tuberous root, like for example, you have a sweet potato, dahlia is there, right? Now sweet potato, dahlia is there, right? So they can develop through their roots. They can grow from the roots. Okay.
Mm,
Generally, what we know that what is the function of the root? Yes, Razan?
uh, to
Hmm?
carry
What
water to the other parts of the
exactly? Exactly. But these roots looks very different. You won't be joining classes from 8 to 11. You won't be available, Razan.
because I'm busy studying for my maths for my 12th exam.
Okay, okay. So from 8 to 11, no?
So I also have math tuition, so I want another regular classes for that. My
Okay, okay, okay. See, so what we see here, that these roots are different from the other roots that we get to see. How these they are swollen, they are swollen, and they are modified roots, right now. So these modified roots will be storing food in them, right? And they are called as tuber. What do we call them? Tubers, right? Right. So in this, we are seeing that a new plant is growing out of this root, or basically a tuber. Getting it from the root and the tuber, right? So
Yes,
basically, these are kind of tuberous roots, we are calling them. Okay. So that's the vegetative propagation by the roots. So it occurs in the case of sweet potato and the dahlia. Okay. As you
sir.
can see here, this is the sweet potato. And from the sweet potato, tiny plants are growing. Getting it? The- and these all these tiny plants can grow independently. If you were to cut them into different pieces, all of them will start to grow differently. Then we have vegetative propagation via the stem also, right? What do we know about the stems? Their function is to act as a pillar for the plant, right? Plays an important role in the transportation of water and the food also. But the stems, or some of the stems are modified, right? Now some of them are modified, and they are called as modified stems basically, and they are of different types. Like for example, there are some of the stems that grows horizontally. Horizontally, you understand now, like this. 1 minute. They'll be growing horizontally. They spread out horizontally like this. So those kind of horizontal underground stems are called as rhizome. They have also got tiny birds on them. Out of these birds, new plants emerges. So that's the case. Okay, no. So in the next class, now, if only you will be there in the class, will be completing the revision.